Welcome to the Datre Transcripts. Transcript 014C. Datre Answers Owl, Part 3. John, next question. Is the concept of development or awareness within our solar system symbolized by a progression through the planetary fields of our solar system? That means from planet Earth to planet Venus to planet Mars to planet Pluto to planet Jupiter to planet Saturn, etc. Is that the progression of development in our system? Datre: No. You learn what you need to learn on this planet. This is the only time that there has been a planetary change, shall we say, but you are not going to other planets within your solar system. No, that will be an entirely different planet. John, in many respects, the planets aren't even related. Datre: No, there's no relationship whatsoever. This is one schoolroom. Your planet is a schoolroom. Now, whether you like it or not, now there are other individuals that are waiting to experience upon this planet. You have been here a long time. Seth has alluded to many things that are going to take place upon this planet. He has alluded to what this planetary existence is all about. It has not been picked up by many who have read the information because there again, if you do not have a framework, it is something that you probably just skim over because it makes no sense to you. But in reading the Seth works and understanding what he has said, in many cases the information is all there. That is why we are breaking it down into baby steps. John: It is there for those who have eyes to see. Datre: Yes, but it is not that easy to understand. Continue. John: Are the planets related or involved in what we understand as the 7 chakras? Datre: No, chakras and planets do not have any relevance to each other as far as you are concerned. Your physical chakras are your physical chakras. Many place a great importance on them. Many say it is not necessary. You can do with the chakras whatever you want to do. Just remember, don't play too much with the physical being at this time, or your physical body, I should say, at this time, because you are going to have enough of a challenge from here on understanding and maintaining your equilibrium within your physical being because of the changes being made. So that experimentation, which probably 10, 20 years ago would be one circumstance, this is an entirely different one. Just get to know your body. Don't push it. Do not push your body into any circumstance that is the least bit uncomfortable. There is going to be enough discomfort within the physical being without going outside and looking for it. John: Is the solar system an outward expression of our levels of consciousness? Datre: No. The solar system is the solar system. At this time, that will suffice. John: Okay, next question. Is there validity to the concept or zymology of exiting the solar system going toward the North Star? There is a concept afoot that says when you exit this system, it's sort of like the thing of going through the top of your head. They look at the North Star as the analogy to the top of the head, and when you leave the system, you go out through, quote, the North Star. That's the kind of thing he's asking about. Datre: Is he referring to going out in death, or is he referring to going out... John: Leaving the system, leaving this whole system into the universe, I presume. Datre: There are going to be so few that are going to leave into the universe that you... There again, it's a minuscule number. The thing is, it is not going through the top of your head, that sort of analogy. No, when you get to the point of going out into the universe, you will know what you're going to experience to a certain extent. There again, that will be you and you alone. The same thing when going into other realities. You don't take somebody's hand and go into another reality. They're not going to take you from one place to another. You take yourself. You do not go through the top of your head. The only time that you can refer to going through the top of your head with an energy construct is those that have experienced the Kundalini. They will see that which they term as a white light streaking through their body, going up through the top of the head. But you are still within physical existence when you go through the Kundalini. Now, there are those that in the death process will see a white light. However, when they see that white light, they will come back with the information that they see the white light in front of them. So they don't experience the rush through the system, through the top of the head. That, to some extent, is what happens, but they see the light in front of them. In other words, they go to the light. Those are two different things. Now, for those that are going out into the universe, and as I said, that is such a small number that those that are going to do it, they know where they're going, and they have a fair idea of what they're going to experience. Not to the magnitude that they will experience it, but it will be, well, we're not going to get into it because you know why? First thing that will happen is the fear will come in. Because of being in a physical being, for as long as the majority of the people on this planet have been in physical beings, they have a fear threshold that can be very easily tapped. There is no fear in anything when you know what you're doing. But for those that are reading words, they'll say, oh, I wouldn't want that to happen. But to those people that are experiencing it, they're saying, this is great. So we leave those things alone for the present time. John, okay, next question. Could you expand on the concept of physical consciousness being an experiment in the concept of repetition or patterns? Datre, I don't understand that question. However, your consciousness is your package. Your consciousness is actually composed of the package that you reside in the physical being. Your consciousness is your psyche. It's your body. It's your experiences. It is all that composes you. That is your consciousness. John, and the mass consciousness is just a collective of all the individual consciousness. Datre, that is correct. In fact, if you take an example. If there's going to be an experience within a given area, in other words, take a small town of 50 people because everybody can visualize that. Okay, these people all of a sudden become afraid. There's going to be a storm. There's going to be a storm. There's going to be a storm. What are we going to do? Let's begin to do this. Let's begin to do that. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Just by their thinking it's coming, they are attracting it to them. The storm will come to them. Now they'll say, well, that storm could have been avoided. Yes, if everybody decided that they didn't want the storm would go around. But you can't put 2 or 3 people in the middle of a city like Los Angeles and say, we don't want the storm. Now that is absolutely ridiculous. It can't be done that way. When you say mass, mass means mass. Now, I will get into something else. Mass consciousness. There is going to be a great deal of discussion about the airplane that crashed, correct? John, that is the one in Florida over the Everglades. Datre, that is correct. They made sure that their bodies would not be found, right? The plane exploded into a gazillion pieces. All right, number 1, the biggest thing to watch upon your planet, because this is what we see from here to down on your planet, how many want to leave in or around a holiday. Any of your big celebration days. That is when many decide to leave in what you call the death process. That is their last claim to fame. You will remember, because I was a part of that mass consciousness that did this thing, many will leave this weekend. In automobile accidents, in heart attacks, in storms, in airplane crashes, in all of these things, because they are saying, "Don't forget me." John, this is Mother's Day. Don't forget me. Datre, that is correct. That is why you have so many things happening on what you call your holidays, your special occasions. Look at the bombing of buildings when you have those. These people have wanted to go at that time. Their names will be in the papers. Their families will say, "Oh, well, they went at this time." That is something that your planet has been going through in mass consciousness for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And you can't say, "Well, they didn't know this was going to happen." My goodness, people, of course they knew it was going to happen, or they would not have stepped on that airplane. How many individuals have you heard of that were ready to get on a flight, what you call an airplane flight, and changed their mind? Why did they change their mind? Because they did not want to be involved in that airplane that was going to have a lot of people smoking, a lot of babies crying, a lot of turbulence in the weather, a delayed flight. There's a gazillion things that you know at all times. The choices are right out in front of you. The psyche was trying to get in touch with you and say, "Look at all of these options. Which one do you want to take?" And you look them over and say, "I don't want any of those." Well, all right, cancel your flight and get on another airplane. But nobody is telling you, nobody is directing you. But if you're in touch with that which is you, the total package, you'll know what to do. John, yes, that's the way it works. Next question. We covered on some of this, but this question goes further, I guess. If the oceans and starry sky are only about 35,000 years old, then our concept of time and evolution in relation to the age of the visible universe and life, which biologically needs water, on Earth is totally wrong. Datre, it is much larger than 35,000 years. It is a much longer time span than that. You have had 35,000 years and then said, "Well, let's give us another 35,000 years. And you've taken another 35,000 years. The planet has changed. John, have we got a mix-up in numbers here, or are we mixing up 3,500 and 35,000? Datre, oh, you see, I don't know numbers. John, I know you don't. That's why I interrupted. Datre, oh, all right. John, what he is talking about is the overall span of this species, this civilization, which are several cycles of the 3,500. Datre, several cycles of the 3,500. Okay, let's get back. What were the 35? John, he was talking about the overall package. In other words, the point from which the chromosome, the 23rd chromosome, was created. To this point, that's roughly what he's talking about. Datre, well, you see the water in the starry skies from my perspective. I don't know years, but from my perspective, it looks like it was a lot longer than that. You see, there have been other civilizations on this planet. John, oh, yes, yes, yes. But if I might interject a part of this, one of the key things I see that's missing here is that we are talking about today's body, and we have no idea about then's body. This body needs water. That has not necessarily been the case for very long at all. Datre, it really doesn't matter what civilization was on this planet prior to you being here. John, oh, I understand that, but that's not what he was. Datre, but yes, your planet, you do need water. The water has been here a long time, and from what I perceive, the water was here a lot longer before that. John, right, but not necessarily in the magnitude that we have today. That's where we are getting confused, I think. Water has always been here. For example, this continent we call North America was a huge swamp for eons of time, which was water. Datre, No, now let's get back to an understanding. When this planet was set up, that being that set up the planet and your atmosphere and put it in a bubble, put your planet and your atmosphere in a bubble, everything in the bubble was there at the beginning, everything. Now, the fact that you changed the elements within the bubble, that's different. But there was so much water, there was so much land, there was so much this, there was so much that. And the thing is, whether it's in a swamp, whether it's in the clouds, whether it's in a lake, whatever, there has been nothing come from the outside to go in after it was originally formed and set into motion. You can have a lot of water on the land, and so you've got great big lakes and oceans and that sort of thing. Then you can take the water and put it up into the clouds if you want to, and have it all up in the sky and have very little water on the land. Water is water, and you haven't got one drop more now than you had then. It's just the placement of it. John, right, I think that's where the confusion is coming in, is the placement. I think that's what he's referring to, the placement or the displacement. Datre, the displacement. But like I said before, this bubble was damaged, and that's why you have the water that was around the inside of your bubble, is what came onto the land that you call oceans, lakes, rivers, seasons. You have many things that you did not have at that point in time. John, okay. And a follow-up to that, he says, is our science so totally off base as to be ignored relative to the previous question? Datre, no. Now, as I have said before, your scientists are working with physical eyes, and they are working with physical instruments, and everything they discover is for you to expand your conscious awareness. In other words, if you watch the things that they are discovering, if you watch the things that are happening, that is all to your advantage. Because as you begin to comprehend that there is a great deal more than just this little planet that you're sitting on that you call Earth, the minute you begin to get out and extend the thought patterns beyond that, your whole perspective of physicality changes. And it does not get less. The expansion of your awareness increases the pleasure of that which exists upon your planet and that which exists within the universe tenfold every time. So everything that you are able to understand in what you call your evolutionary process is a mind-expanding experience. And I say mind-expanding. And I should say brain-expanding. It is a brain-expanding experience because you're beginning to take the information that the psyche is giving you and perceiving it through physical eyes, ears, nose, throat, walking, eating, enjoyment of all kinds. And the more you begin to expand, the more you will appreciate the smallest of things. It seems like it is in reverse, but the more you understand of the big picture, the more you understand about the minuteness of the little picture. John, next question. If we focus on the now, does any knowledge of science or history really matter? Datre, yes. The only way it matters is in one degree. The reason it matters is for conscious awareness. That's why it matters. If you live in the now, as your conscious awareness changes, your physical being will adjust to the changes. Your brain will adjust to the changes. And I believe we have mentioned this before, that if you make a big leap in conscious awareness and it does not fit with what you understood previously, the adjustment will be made within your brain to make things continuous. In other words, that is how, they say you can change the past with your future? That's what happens. In order to keep you from physically, what you say, going mad, is that your brain will adjust so that things in the past will make sense to you now. John, maintains a continuity. Datre, your brain will automatically maintain a continuity so you don't get lost, all right? John, this is part of the same question. Are we better to just ignore it, science and history, and the intellectual debate altogether? Datre, I think we've covered that. John, I think so too. Datre, you don't ignore. You accept what you want to accept. You don't accept what does not fit into your framework. But whatever, you don't need to ignore anything. In fact, the more you know a little bit about a lot of things, the more your conscious awareness will grow in all different directions. Continued in Part 14D.